All right, welcome everybody. We'll convene the Belvedere City Council regular meeting of March 20th, 2023 to order. The clerk will call the roll, please.
Verherten,
Here.
Flurry,
Here.
Frank. Here. Freeman. Here. McGee.
Here.
Mulhall. Here. Porter.
Here.
Prather. Here. Snow.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
10 present.
Okay, thank you. If you'll stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation, please. Yep. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, we pray to thank you for the many blessings that we have, that you have given us, our country, our community, and our freedom. We pray to thank you for all the military service members, for the countless men and women veterans who have served throughout our nation's history, and we thank you for their service and sacrifice. We thank you for our police and fire first responders in our community and throughout our country, who each day help our citizens in need no matter what, and we pray for their safety and well-being. We ask tonight that you give each of us compassion, courage, patience, and wisdom as we conduct our business here this evening. In Christ's name we pray, amen. All right, item 3, public comment. We have one individual registered this evening for public comment, Ron Underwood. Hi, Ron. Hi, Ron. If you would come up here and state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ron Underwood, and I live at 3908 Greenspire Court, Belvedere, Illinois, and that's right off Newburgh Road. It's in the Greenview Estates, Greenview Mobile Home Estates, manufactured home. My wife gets mad when I say mobile home. Anyway, I'm here. I'm kind of shooting from the hip here because I don't have a whole lot of information. I caught the end of a newscast last week about our food trucks and the fact that a body of aldermen were talking about raising the licensing fee to $500 from $100. I hope I'm correct on that information. I just caught a little bit of it. I'm here to speak against any increase. Not that I go to a lot of food trucks. I haven't been to the one down on the corner of Locust and Newburgh, not a single time. But I can't see how raising their fee by $400 is going to help this city. I really don't. And that's hurting the small businessman if you do. When they bring those food trucks in, they're supplying their own gas, propane, they're supplying gas to run a generator for electricity, and they're employing some people. And as I drove in here tonight, that food truck that's up there by me is busier than Burger King, probably busier than Taco Bell too. So they do supply some tax money, I assume, to the city. Now, I know the city has lost Chrysler and has lost that income, but there's a lot of good things going on in the city. There's a Taco Bell going up, and there's a big thing going up down here by Walmart. Now, when that truck stop down there by Walmart gets done or built enough to where they can bring tenants in there, they're going to have a cannabis shop in there, from what I understand. That's going to generate a lot of tax money, And I really don't think you need to hurt the small businessman by raising their fee from $100 to $500. Now, I don't have any interest in this. I don't see anybody here that owns a food truck. tonight to speak on their behalf. I just think that there's other ways of, if you need money, to raise it. That truck stop out there is going to raise a lot of money. And you'd be hurting the small businessman, you'll be hurting the Hispanic community, because they're the ones that mostly run those food trucks. And if you look at our downtown area, I would say well more than 50% of the businesses in town are operated by Hispanics. Now, I'd be wrong, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see. I see a lot of Hispanic businesses keeping this town thriving. I've been a resident here 22 years. I like the downtown area. I feel it's safe. We have a lot of good things going on in town. I like to come to the restaurants in town. So I'm asking you, please do not vote in favor of raising that licensing fee. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Underwood. Hey, Rick, would you hit that? Thank you. Okay. All right. Also under public comment, I think Mr. Anderson wanted to mention about our continuing branch pickup within the city.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, at your desk tonight is the map and the dates for our 2023 spring branch pickup. It'll be posted on the city's website as well. It'll be in next week's shopper, but aldermen should all have a copy on their desk tonight.
Okay. Thank you. And Chief Woody, I know Chief had brought something to my attention which I thought was great news. So, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. So for those that maybe didn't see the press release, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Northern District of Illinois, put out Friday, March 17th, that a Demetrian Deshaun Phillips was arrested for the robbery of Midland States Bank, 600 South State Street, on May 3rd, 2021. After that date, Detective Delavan was the case agent on that investigation, ultimately assisted and provided key evidence to the FBI, who was already investigating Mr. Phillips for a previous robbery, bank robbery, at the Midland States Bank on North Alpine, approximately about a month earlier. So based off that information, they were able to obtain a search warrant and ultimately an arrest warrant of Mr. Phillips. They arrested him, and then ultimately he was convicted in federal court for bank robbery. He received 10 years in federal prison. Just a note, Mr. Phillips was on court-supervised release for his prior bank robbery conviction when he was arrested for those two charges. So I just thank you for the opportunity to bring that to the attention of the council. I just want to make note that Detective Delavan did a heck of an investigation. So thank you.
I appreciate it, Chief, and tell the detective thank you. Also, before we get too far, we have on your in your packet on your agenda, if you go to under 10 new business, items K and L, we have Michael Eckhoff here. And I know Michael has a deadline. I would like to move that up on the agenda. I would like to move that up under 6D. Items 10K and L will be the new 6D unless there's some objection to that, but I would like to be able to accommodate him. He's come a little ways here this evening, so if there are no objections, we shall move it forward, cross it off of items 10, and it'll get shorter towards the end, won't it? Item 4, we have approval of the minutes, item 4A. Could I get a motion for approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Belvedere City Council of March 6, 2023 as presented, please? Motion by Alderwoman Prather, second by Alderman Fleury. Is there any discussion, any corrections? Anybody see any errors? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
If there's any opposed, motion passed, thank you. And item A, on first, we have growth dimensions, public hearing, we have none. Item 5, item 6, special messages and proclamations. We have item A, growth dimensions. Pam Fettis is here with, this evening. Thank you, Pam. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. In front of you is our report for this month. As an update, we've had 84 business contacts since the beginning of the year. We have about 30 of those that are in stage 1, which is our initial contact and request for information stage. We have about 10 that are in stage 2, which is our meeting and due diligence stage, and another 25 that is in stage 3, which is our commitment or construction stage. I think in the past meetings, there has been some discussion about our marketing efforts, and I wanted to kind of share with you a little bit of our marketing strategy. Our goal is for site selection to attract businesses from outside the area into the area. So therefore, our goal is to really put most of our dollars into marketing that are focused on those attraction efforts. So it's not a surprise to me that there's a lot of individuals and residents that aren't familiar with the services that Growth Dimensions offers. We also work with a number of small businesses, retail, existing businesses on their growth plans, retention and growth. So we do work with retail, we work with small businesses, we work with existing industry on trying to help them with their biggest pain points. It may be workforce development, it may be opportunities for growth, maybe they need expansion, maybe they need partnerships in the community. So I wanted to kind of clarify, but a lot of our efforts are spent with both retention, growth, as well as attraction. So I just wanted to clarify some of our strategies in marketing. I also wanted to share with you that we have expanded a lot of our marketing efforts and our communication efforts a lot through our website and technology and geofencing. And we've had like an expansion, at least 400% attraction to our area as far as businesses that are interested in learning more about our community. We're going to hear more about Project Yukon later, so I'll focus on other projects that we're focusing on. We're working with Rock Valley College, as you know, in the phase 2 of their development. This is a $2.5 million investment, and will create 5 new jobs. We're also participating in the State of Illinois Vetted Sites Program. This is for large sites. The one that we're submitted was over 615 acres, and it is geared toward projects that require high power and utilities. So it may be perfect for an automotive, data center, or other types of industries of that sort. Along with these the site, we are also working with the city and possibly Region 1 Planning Council to submit a grant for some of these larger projects to help with some of the infrastructure that's necessary in order to become more what we call shovel-ready. We're also working with Conserve FS, Midwest Refrigeration Services, Canal, Lot 3, and new locations for Anytime, Twin Towers, and Dollar General. We're also working on trying to secure a broadband consultant that will help us further our efforts with broadband plan in Boone County. This will be a plan that will address every community in our area. We want to make sure every business, every individual has that access. So we're looking at resources that we can identify for those, for that consultant, and we're going to be looking at consultants and somebody with that expertise that help us position Boone County in a better position to receive deployment dollars of that kind of infrastructure. So there's dollars available at the state and national level that we would like to apply for, but we don't have a plan yet. So we really need to get into a plan. We're also wanted to share with you that we had received and were honored with the Extraordinary Dedication and Service Award since 2021 by the Illinois Education and Career Success Network. As you know, we've done a lot of partnerships with our school districts, and this is the reason why we're trying to develop that pipeline between the kids that are going to school today and the workforce that's needed today and tomorrow. We're looking 5 years, 10 years down the line, so developing that career pipeline is going to be essential. So a lot of the internships that we support, a lot of the connection between businesses and education is going to be critical. And we're also working with the Poplar Grove Aviation Education Association on an Air Academy, and this will be available for all young people, middle school age people in Boone County. So if you know anybody that's interested. Just to highlight some things that are on the calendar, there's a DCO Roadshow, which is for businesses. So if you know of any businesses that might be able to benefit from this, it'll be focusing on marketing, funding and finance, business taxes, and iCash. And then we have an accelerating creative and entrepreneurs event that will be on May 11th, also for businesses. And a state of economy is going to be on June 21st. We're partnering with the Belvedere Area Chamber to have the policy advisor, David, I'm going to mess this up, Apedal, with the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago speaking. I'm available for any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Fettis? Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you, Mayor. So Pam, I remember the last administration, a couple, 3 years back, I believe it was, your budget was once again on the chopping block, and I believe it was Alderman Stevens that said, you know, we just keep throwing money at you, and we don't know what you do, and we have no idea where our money's going. And it was at that point you started coming up here and giving us monthly updates and telling us what you're doing and how you're benefiting the community. And I thank you for that. It's been, you know, I wasn't always a big fan of Growth Dimensions, but I thank you for that. It's been eye-opening for myself. And I'd also like to mention that when I had a Ward 5 constituent contact me when they were laid off at Stellantis, not this last round, but the round before, and didn't know what they were going to do, I contacted you, and you put them in touch with who they needed to talk to with the Workforce Connection, and were instrumental in helping them be able to stay located in their home here in Belvedere. So I'd also like to mention that and thank you for that.
Thank you. Quite often, even though if there's something that's not our primary role, like workforce development, we need to be part of the solutions. These problems will exist, and we need to be, we don't have all the answers. We need to connect people with those answers and those resources to help them stay here. We need to keep our workforce here, but thank you very much.
Alderman Snow?
And just looking at one of your first key points on your memo is that the Project Yukon, you appear to be instrumental in securing that.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
any
you.
other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Fettis.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we are going to have the presentation, I don't know, a little bit later here, so. We have also Mindy Long here. Hi, Mindy, with Ida Public Library. Welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'll keep it pretty short. You got a pretty busy night tonight. First, I want to say we had a wonderful anniversary party on Thursday. Thank you so much to Mayor Morris, who was there at the event and presented us with a very nice proclamation. 140 years the library's been operating. The first 30 years it was in the old City Hall building, which is now the Fire Station #1, and now it's been in this building since 1912. So it's been a really long run for the library, so we're very happy and proud of it. Thank you to everyone who attended. We received a really nice donation to benefit low-income elderly patrons just recently. We were charged with choosing the best benefit we thought would be most needed by our patrons. We have a lot of patrons who live in Shadley, Sheffield Meadows, Parkside, assisted living facilities who don't get around a lot. We do have a very pretty big, large print book collection of books, but like everything, once you get older, things start to go. So the eyesight starts to go, and even large print books are hard to read. They're hard to handle, they're big, they're bulky. Also, we do have a very big audiobook collection, but our elderly, low-income patients do not have the technology to play those audiobooks. They're CDs, you gotta have a CD player, you have to have a computer, a laptop, or a lot of people commute in their car and listen to the book. So what we decided to do with the donation we received was to purchase, I brought around those Playaway books before so you could see those books for the children. So this is the same sort of a thing for an adult. It's about the size of a cell phone, does not have a book attached to it. It's a preloaded book, very simple, buttons, play, reverse, forward, and they can listen to an entire book on that. Pretty big speaker, you can plug earphones into it. So we think it'll be the perfect solution to the elderly seniors who just cannot carry a book and don't have the technology available. So we were able, with this wonderful donation, to purchase 50 of them. So they will be here probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. They're processing them right now. So that'll be a really nice addition. So we'll be marketing that to the Senior Assisted Living Center soon. We have an opening, excuse me, we have an opening for a custodian. Our custodian is retiring on March 31st. So we're looking to replace him. It's part-time, 25 hours a week to 30 hours a week. Before hours, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. usually. General janitorial, custodial duties, outside maintenance, taking care of the building. It's an old building, needs a lot of work. So if you know of anybody, send them our way. You know somebody? Good. You send, I have an app on, it's on the website if they want to.
Okay.
Or you can call me tomorrow. Call me tomorrow. Okay. And we also have an opening for, we still have an opening for another bookmobile driver. We have limped by this winter with just one driver on that giant bus, which requires a Class C license and an with air brakes certification. Because we kind of, in the winter, we cut a little bit of the routes. We're not only out like 4 days a week, but in the summer we'll be out 6 days a week. We're already receiving so many requests to be at special events, so I desperately need another driver. So if anyone knows a person who wants part-time, flexible hours, driving the bookmobile, let me know. It's Class C license, air brake required, so desperately need somebody. I also forgot to mention, I want to thank past Mayor Rick. I want to thank your father for the wonderful flower arrangement. He sent a wonderful flower arrangement to our library, so I forgot to mention that, so very nice of him. We're planning for summer reading right now. We're looking for any businesses or organizations who would like to have a spot in our summer reading kickoff party on June 10th, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are going to have sort of a carnival theme because our summer reading theme is Have Book Will Travel, so we want to make it look like a World's Fair. We already have the fire department committed to run a carnival game called Battle of the Blaze, where the participants throw water balloons at pop-up flames. So that'll be fun, as long as they don't go on a call. So we're looking for anyone else who'd like to have a table, run a game. We have a couple of carnival games that will be there, so it'll be a lot of fun. And thank you for allowing us to close Madison Street off. We will be having our bookmobile on that street. We will be having hopefully a food truck or two. And we're trying to find a salsa band or a mariachi band to play on in the street there. So that'll be kind of fun. So we're looking forward to it. Programs, we have some great programs coming up. Wednesday night, there's a container garden program with the University of Illinois Extension. Friday on March 24th at 11, there's a wonderful program for SNAP recipients. You know, the SNAP recipients had their dollars are being cut. And so it's very hard for them now to have to go back to this really low level of dollars to spend on groceries and food at a time when groceries and food are more and more expensive. So the University of Illinois Extension is presenting a special program, meal planning, how to get by on a very, very low budget. They'll have some recipes, some tips, and so it's going to be a great program, but it's only for SNAP recipients. So you will have to register online at the library for that. So. And we also have a program by the Illinois Storm Chasers. They will be coming on April 12th, a week before Mike Doyle does his annual tornado event at the museum. And they're going to talk about what it takes to be an Illinois Storm Chaser. What do they do? You know, what training is involved, and they'll talk about weather events in our area. So that'll be a lot of fun. And that's all I have. That's pretty much busy getting ready for summer reading. So.
Okay, is there any questions anybody had for Mindy? Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you again, Mayor. So Mindy, The new interactive books that you're getting for the elderly, does the bookmobile go around to the senior assisted living facilities for them?
Yes, it does, yes.
It
They are
does?
every other week at Parkside, every other week at Sheffield, every other week at Shelley. They're at all of those facilities. And they do have a selection of large print books on there, and we hope to be able to add some of these onto that too, so, yeah. You're welcome.
Anybody else? Alderwoman Frank?
Hi, I came to your true crime, meet, your books, and I like those, but I was wondering, what goes into choosing programs?
For all
For-
programs, kids
I mean,
programs? or-
are they, through the state, because I'm looking at this paper and it's got different programs, so do you decide what they are?
Well, we have different I have different department heads. There's Belina and I are the choose the adult programs. We have Daisy, who we lured away from Whitehead Elementary School teaching special needs to come and be our youth services head of the department. And we have Leah, who's the teen services, and they get together, we all sit down, we have program meetings, we decide, what kind of programs we can have. We try to reach out to anybody we can in the community to come and conduct a program. We just had a program about Medicare, Part A, B, and C, so that brought in a few, not a lot, but a few participants. So we reach out to whoever we can, and Illinois Storm Chasers is one of the ones that we saw that was giving programs in the area, so we reached out to them, and they're coming to do their program there, so.
Another question.
Sure.
So if there's a program that's low turnout, would you rotate it and you try it again later?
We might, it depends. If it's a program that costs money and nobody came, no, we won't have it again. But if it's a free programs like the Medicare presentation that didn't bring in a lot, we might have it again at a different time or a different time of year, so, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. True Crime is doing very well, by the way. A
Oh,
lot of
it's
people.
doing better now?
Mhm, a lot of people are coming to True Crime,
Oh,
so.
because I was disappointed, because when I came, it was 4, and then next time I came, it was just 2 of us.
Yeah, there's a very dedicated group of true crimers out there.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Any other questions for Mindy? Thank you.
Sure.
All right, and Mindy, thank you again for inviting me to your 140th anniversary celebration. And are you going to have a time capsule?
Yes, the time capsule is going to be pretty soon. This week, we were waiting for one last piece, and we're about
Okay.
ready to get it ready to go and
Oh.
and put it in behind, it's going to go behind the stairway.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
wonderful. You had a great turnout despite last snowy weather, so thank you again.
You're
Yeah,
welcome, thank you.
thanks for coming. All right, item C, we have on the agenda the COSAP grant renewal application letter of support. There is no action on this evening. I would ask Ms. Hanson if she wanted to make a few comments on this.
Thank you, Mayor. The current grant cycle ends the end of September, and what the Health Department is doing right now is preparing a renewal application for another 3 years. What they're asking from the city at this time is just a letter of support so that they can submit with that application. Obviously, if they are awarded the funds, then information would be brought back to council at that time where you can decide if that's something you want to continue or not. So they're just looking for a letter of support for the application at this time.
Okay. All right, thank you. And what we moved into item D, we have with us this evening Michael Eckhoff. He's with Grant Thornton, and I think he was going to do a presentation. I believe he's been busy earlier this evening as well. And so welcome, Michael. Thank you for coming here this evening. And I don't know what you need regarding any assistance with, if you have any, if you need a.
No, I think yeah, we
Okay.
handed out a bunch of copies.
Okay, we have
so-
the handouts, okay.
so.
All right, thank you, and I know you wanted to talk about the project that's hopefully forthcoming in the city, so.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, members of the City Council. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Mike Eichhoff. I represent Grant Thornton. We're a consulting firm, and my client is the underlying developer for Project Yukon. I know the project's been discussed at the council for a variety of different periods of time over the past few months. Just at a very high level, Project Yukon is the developer is a Fortune 500 consumer products company. I'm sure all of you have heard of them. They are seeking to develop a 1.2 million square foot fresh food distribution center. They are looking at sites right now in Belvedere. They are looking just north of Beloit, and they're also looking around the Cedar Rapids, Iowa-ish. It has to serve kind of a radial because it is fresh food, so its shipping distance will not be very far from the center. I think it's 80 miles is the ship to outside of the center itself. If they develop the site here in Belvedere, they're looking at a capital investment of roughly $1.2 billion. It will employ at its full capacity over 450 new full-time jobs, of which 410 would be hourly at an average wage of $55,000 a year. 40 would be salaried at $110,000 a year plus benefits. And in terms of timeline, the project is looking to make a decision sometime in June of this year. If they do make that decision, they expect to be under construction by the fall of this year, with full construction completion in 2026 is the expectation, and full operation at that time. The 450 jobs I did mention are a conservative estimate. They're expecting it to be much higher, but for the purposes of our conversations here, my client would prefer to excel versus a lot of times I'm sure you work with projects that they always underperform when it comes to employment and jobs. So, you know, while we're expecting more, I think the comfortable position we are at about 450 new jobs. And I'm here to answer any questions that the council may have about Project Yukon. So feel free to ask. We are asking for the city council to grant an extended abatement as part of the enterprise zone. So it's not just the city, it's every other taxing district that participates in it. The current policy is a 4-year, 80%, 60, 40, 20. We've asked for an extension of that to be 10 years. 85% would be for the first 5 years, and 50% abated taxes for the second 5-year, and that would be solely on new EAV, not on any existing tax base.
I know that, Michael, you had wanted a letter of support, and maybe a little bit, I think it was last week, and obviously I hadn't had a chance to meet with council members. I think I did cover maybe almost all of them. I don't think I did get to all of them. Mike helped me out during my convalescence, so thank you, Attorney Drella. But so that is correct. I know one of the big items that are on here is that it is competitive regarding any of these projects, any of the large projects. As you know, we had Project Kelly with General Mills. That had been very competitive, and also the project that we did land at Genoa Road and I-90. Both of those projects were very competitive, as this one is, I'm sure. The fact that it has a sizable investment, it looks like a long-term commitment on jobs, 450, perhaps more. But these are jobs that you don't have a chance every day to be able to try and court into your community. So with that being said, as Michael had pointed out, our existing enterprise zone, 80, 60, 40, 20 over the first 5 years would be amended. It would look as 85-15 for the first 5, with a 50-50 split on years 6 through 10. And then after that, the city and the rest of the taxing bodies would have the property tax revenue. So it's up to the aldermen. I had composed a letter. I had post-dated this letter until I had an opportunity to talk with all the aldermen, or as many of them that I could, and had went over it, tried to answer any questions. I always hated when I was sitting out in your chair to have something dumped on me the night that it was going to be heard, and so I appreciate you all coming in and spending the time with me and Mike to understand the project and answer any questions that you might have. Is there anything, City Attorney, that you want to add?
Just briefly, or maybe not so briefly. So as we discussed previously with virtually all of you, what they're looking for tonight is simply a letter of support indicating that the city will move forward along with the other taxing bodies to try and amend the enterprise zone. We're not changing existing benefit levels in the enterprise zone. All we're doing is adding that new category for extraordinarily large users, at least $800 million in investments, 400+ new jobs, or whatever the different boards agree to in the future. But we're going to commit to amending that intergovernmental agreement. Because we didn't take it to committee, we want to talk to each one of you first individually. It appears tonight because they do want to get going and try and meet that June deadline of an announcement. It will take 3 to 6 months to amend the enterprise zone agreements between going to all the boards, getting all their approvals, and then sending down state to get their approval. And because of their timeline, they're willing to hopefully accept this letter of support. So the first thing we'll be looking for tonight, because it did not go to committee, is what is now, was 10K, is now part of number 6D, is a motion to waive section 2-88 of the municipal code with respect to, for the support letter for Project Yukon, and that eliminates the requirement to go to committee first. So I'd recommend a
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman Snow. Any questions, any comments, any concerns? Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you again, Mayor. So, Attorney Drell, I believe when we met, you indicated to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that the other taxing bodies have agreed to this?
I believe they've at least informally agreed to it. I know they met with the school board this evening. I have no idea what their
Me either.
final decision is.
Yeah, we had to leave. Make it for you.
But, so hopefully by now they've approved it. They've met with all the taxing bodies and their leadership and had support there. I don't know if they've all voted yet or not.
We did receive letters of support from the county, the township, and the park district thus far.
So we're waiting on the school district?
The school district was tonight in the city.
Okay. And then I had a question for you. You've worked very closely, hand in hand with Pam from Growth Dimensions on this project.
Absolutely. She was my first contact.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. So what we have then is, first, as the city attorney had pointed out, a motion to waive section 2-88 for the Belvedere, of the Belvedere Municipal Code with respect to a letter of support for Project Yukon Enterprise Zone Amendment. And we have a motion and a second on the floor for that, correct? And is there any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor will, when their name is read, answer yes. Any opposed, nay, as the clerk calls the roll, please.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And then what would have been 10L, I would ask for a motion to approve the mayor's March 20th, 2023 correspondence in support of an enterprise zone amendment for Project Yukon.
I'll
Could I
make
get
that motion, Your
Motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman Fleury. And I will say, I wanted to make sure, I might have been a little bit, put Michael in a little bit tough spot. He was pushed for time tonight, that he had a meeting with the other taxing district. However, the letter was written with the intent of making sure that the council had a first blush at this thing before we moved it forward in any way, so.
And thank you for moving it up. It saved me a lot of trouble.
Yeah, good. All right, well, I'm glad to help.
Out of the doghouse.
Out of the doghouse, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on that, for that. If there is no other questions, discussion, concerns, all those in favor, well, when their name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay, as the clerk calls the roll, please.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Eichhoff. I
Appreciate everyone's support and help.
Thank you.
Have a safe drive.
Okay, Moving on, we have item 7, approval of expenditures this evening. We have general and special fund expenditures in the amount of $1,386,778.36. Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderwoman Prather, second by Alderman McGee. Any questions, any comments regarding those expenditures on your desk tonight? Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you. Again, Your Honor, I have a few. So I have 3 for Chief Woody, beginning on page 8. Shane, these Belvedere Police Department Treasury deposited $8,016. Those are asset forfeitures.
Yeah, they were inadvertently deposited into the city's general account from federal asset forfeiture. Shannon is currently working with Equitable Sharing to get those accounts taken care of, so in the future, they deposit them into the correct asset forfeiture accounts. So what the city had to do was then take them from that account and then deposit it back into the correct account, which is the federal asset forfeiture.
Okay, and then the next one I had for you was on page 9. And down at the bottom where it is under equipment, Walmart TV for SWAT for $678. And then I think there's a TV mount and maybe an adapter as well. Was that purchased for training, or how will that be used?
Yeah, that'll be mounted in our SWAT room. We had to purchase a smart TV. The SWAT team was requesting capability to access the internet. Originally, they wanted a projector. When we compared pricing for projectors versus what TVs are these days, a 55-inch TV was actually significantly less expensive. So we went that direction. It'll allow them to look at online training and webinars, as well as when they are doing training for call-outs or just training in general. They can bring up maps of either residences or neighborhoods to map out either their approach to their target location or their actual entry.
Thank you. And then my last one for you was on page 13, and that is, I believe we replaced an engine in squad number 12 for $6,200. I was just going to ask you how old this car is, and if it wasn't on the chopping block anytime soon to put that much money into it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of them when we look at rotating our vehicles out because of the replaced engine. But at the time that the engine went out, for those that may not remember, back in July during one of my updates, I informed the council that we had an engine below that was for Squad 12. And we just didn't have any squads that we could replace with it. So we needed to roll that back into the fleet. So we looked at the funds that we had in our vehicle maintenance. We had the ability to pay for the engine at that time, so we made that decision to do that. Actually, Kunis worked with us as they have in the past. They've been a really good partner for the department. A brand new engine runs, the general public probably about $13,000. So we were able to procure that engine for about $6,500. So we got that work done. It was completed in September. The squad itself is a 2016, and it's got about 69,000 miles on it. At this point, with the uncertainty of brand new squads, we're waiting anywhere from 6 to 9 months. So we need every squad that we can get at this point.
Thank you, Chief. And then I had some for Director Anderson. Brent, starting on page 22. There's a Miller Bradford hydraulic drive repairs for $6,520. What is that for?
That's on the skid steer loader. That's what for forward and reverse went out. So we had to have, in order to set that up and do the percentages, that had to go to Miller Bradford, the case rep, as opposed to our own guys doing it.
Okay. And then on page 24, Down at the bottom for William Charles Electric, there's 3 traffic and signal repairs. Is that, it says US 2, is that US 20?
Yes.
So is that not IDOT?
Well, we have a maintenance agreement with IDOT for, we maintain all of their traffic signals, and it's on a cost share, and then they reimburse us. So every June, we do up an invoice to the state for their share of the cost for the previous year's work, and this is included in that.
Okay, thank you. And then on page 27, I just wanted to ask you about the road salt. Do we buy that all in bulk at the beginning, or I guess maybe it would be in the fall, in anticipation for our usage? And if we don't use it, or do we buy it as we go? And if we don't use all that we buy, where do we store that at? And do we just keep stockpiling that for the next year?
So we are joint purchase our salt through the state's joint purchase agreement. And we put in for 3,000 tons on an annual basis of what to purchase. And through that purchase arrangement with the state, we have to buy a minimum of 80% of that total, and we can go up to 120%, depending on what the weather is, winter weather, and what the need is. In this case, right now, to make our 80% minimum, we still have to get around 400 more tons. We have the capacity at the street department right now to store 800 tons. It usually takes us about right around 200 tons per storm event. So in this case, for that, right now our bins are full. We still need to order 400 tons before the end of the year, or end of the season. So it looks like we may have to store some of that. We could go to the Leith building actually to store that additional. It's the first time we've ever had to do that since we've been part of this program.
Okay, thank you for that. And then my next one for you is page 32. And that has to do with civil engineering services for the Irene Road realignment. That's reimbursable, correct? And can you give us an idea of when that road construction might start?
I sure can. Yes, so the Irene Road realignment in the engineering, that's part of the grant program between, we got 3 grant sources to do that. We have a EDP agreement with state, with IDOT for 50% of the cost of the construction. And they're paying 100% of the cost of the construction that's on the state right-of-way, and then 50% of the construction that's on our right-of-way. We also have DCEO funds in the amount of $700,000 for the construction of the road, and that includes engineering. And then we also have TARP funds administered through IDOT, which again goes towards the road construction cost for that project. The plans and everything have been approved. Our bid opening for Irene Road is April 4th at 10 a.m. So the following committee meeting, you'll be getting the bid tabulations to do. So we anticipate construction to be starting early May.
Thank you. And my last one for you is just real quick on page 37. It's the Denergy Energy Services for our wells. So 3 and 4 are still offline, correct?
Correct.
Thank you for that. And then I had a couple for Shannon. On page 33, Shannon. It is, it's named under vehicles, but it's computers. I'm assuming that those are for squads. No? And I'm just wondering why that's under capital projects and
So-
not a police budget line item.
You're correct, those are for squads that have been ordered, and Chief Woody can certainly speak to it, because I actually had a conversation with him. They order that because it takes so long to get in. They order that in advance, so when the squads do, when we do receive them, they have the equipment ready and here to install into the squads.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I wanted to ask you about, page, way in the back on page 49, we start looking at our account totals. And by my count, we have 45 line items, that are running over budget. So where does that over budget money get extrapolated from?
So for the, we do have many line items that are over budget. What it doesn't show on many of these is we may have an expense that is reimbursed. So the expense line item may be over budget, but it's made up, it's reimbursed through another line item. So for instance, one would be K-9. That is over budget, but the police department did receive a donation that covered the purchase of the K-9 and I think the training or something, so that's actually offset. So while that line item may be over, it may not be over in general because we have revenue in another line item. So a couple ways to look at it is the line item itself, or you can look at the department budget as a whole. As long as that stays within budget and the whole department budget doesn't go over, then you're still okay. So a couple different ways to look at it, but there are many that do have a corresponding revenue line item to offset those expenses.
Okay, thank you for that as well. And I had one last one for you, and it concerns the city's CD investments. So we took roughly almost 1.8 million of ARPA funds and invested it with Byron Bank, which we're going to get almost $5,000, about $4,600 worth of interest on in 2023. So we have to use those funds by, I believe, December 2026. So are we just going to continue to roll that over? And then, once they're in there, they're kind of stuck there, right? Until it comes to fruition, yeah. So are we just, is that the plan, is just to continue rolling those ARPA funds over until 2026?
We have till the end of December 24 to use those funds. So when the second payment came in, which was one that we received this fiscal year, since we did not have it earmarked for anything, we went ahead and just did a short-term investment so we could at least earn some interest until it's determined how those funds are to be used. So I think we do have the opportunity to use them, I think at the end of August is when it is up. So we'll have to see where we're at that point in time. Do we have plans to use those funds? If that's the case, then we won't roll it over. If we don't, then we can do another short term and can continue earning interest in the meantime. So it's just whenever we're ready to earmark them for a project, then we'll go ahead and pull them out and use them at that time.
Thank you. I think it was a good idea to earn some interest on that. I'm thankful for that, so thank you.
Okay, thank you for those questions. Thank you. I also wanted to thank Brent and Shannon both for any of the EDP funding, the DCEO, any of that. There was certainly a lot of effort that was put into that for the city to be able to take advantage of some help with funding. So I think that's important to note. And thank you both. All right, we have a motion and a second then on the floor. I guess the funds, the motion is in the amount of $1,386,778.36 for approval of general and special funds. All those in favor will, when their name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Frank?
Aye.
Freeman? Aye. McGee?
Aye.
Mulhall?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Prather? Aye. Snow?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Brereton?
Aye.
Flurry?
Aye.
10 in favor.
Okay, thank you. And then the other part of expenditures this evening is water and sewer fund expenditures in the amount of $422,512.20. Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman Porter, second by Alderwoman Prather. Any questions, any concerns regarding that motion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor will answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Freeman.
Aye.
McGee.
Aye.
Mulhall.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Brereton.
Aye.
Flurry.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And moving on, item 8, committee reports and minutes of city officers. For the record, items A through H, have been placed on file with the city clerk. And flipping to the next page, item 8I, we have minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Building, Planning, Zoning of Public Works of March 13th, 2023. As in front of you this evening, is there a motion to approve those minutes, please? Motion by Alderwoman Mulhall, second by Alderman Porter. Any questions, any corrections regarding that motion and those minutes? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
If there's any opposed, motion passed, thank you. And moving along, item 9A, ordinance 617H is in front of you for a second reading. That is an ordinance amending section 14-452 of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code, video gaming under annexation agreements. Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderwoman Prather. And if you flip over on the second page of that, you'll see item F, and it is underlined, and that is in regards to any annexation agreement or development agreement regarding guarantees of video gaming for that specific location. If there are any questions, we'll take those at this time. Okay. Alderman Porter.
Just to be clear, does this increase over the number that we've already approved for the city then?
Yes and no. And the reason why I use my usual lawyerly gray area is the number is still 40. So unless a property is not being developed pursuant to a development agreement or an annexation agreement, which this body must approve, there's still just the 40 number of licenses available. If it's a new facility that we bring in by annexation, for example, the Genoa Road project, that does not count towards the 40, so the 40 does not increase. You could have more than 40 establishments if they're allowed through the annexation process or development agreement.
Some of the projects, some of the annexation agreements may, in fact, request at the time that they have gaming. In this case, that's exactly what happened out on Genoa Road and I-90. And considering that many of those users, many of the individuals that will be putting money into the city, as well as the state and as well as the establishment, they are going to be traveling on 90. They're probably going to get off the road there. They probably may not even come into the city. But so they are more or less engaged to that specific project for annexation. So that gaming will probably mean, it will mean a lot of revenue, quite a bit of revenue for the city. And as I said, those people will be passing through. And I think whenever the city attorney and I had looked at this, that was something that we thought would satisfy any potential new annexation agreements. Of course, it would be up to the city council at any time to be able to look at those and vote up or down. So Alderman Snow?
So at this point, the tentative thing is that the fueling station is going to have the video gaming, correct?
The annexation agreement that you've already approved allows video gaming at the truck stop, as well as, I believe, 2 or 3 locations on the other side of the reconfigured Crystal Parkway. Is that correct, Brent? Where there's going to be a little strip mall. There'd be one spot in there that could have it, and then potentially probably over by the hotel.
Thank you.
Yep.
Also, the hotel If that.
If it happens.
If that happens, and I believe it will, if that comes to fruition, then obviously that would be included in part of that annexation agreement. Alderman Snow?
With the hotel, it's still required to serve alcohol, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I recall they wanted, I think, the potential for 2. I haven't looked at this thing since we approved it, which is several months ago already, but I think it was 2 or 3 at that strip mall area, kind of. There's 2 little strip malls in there. The one at the truck stop, and I think one over by the hotel as well. And Gina was flashing me 4 total.
It was 4 total, so 1 for the truck stop, 1 for the hotel, and 2 to be used back in the district.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, then we have a motion on the floor to approve ordinance 617H, that being an ordinance amending section 14-452 of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code regarding video gaming under annexation agreements. If there are no other questions, all those in favor will answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Raritan,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. 10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And we have item 10 on new business. We have for first reading this evening, ordinance number 618H. That being an ordinance granting a special use to allow indoor commercial entertainment within the planned business district located at 1946 Gateway Center Drive. Again, that is a first reading this evening, and you will have that back. For second reading, we have item B, ordinance 619H for first reading as well. 619H is an ordinance amending Chapter 150 zoning ordinance of the municipal code, and that was to clean up some of our fencing standards and changeable signs, so that will be coming back to you as well. Okay, and we have item C, 620H, that being an ordinance granting a special use to allow indoor commercial entertainment within the central business district located at 132 North State, which is the Maggio's Pizzeria, and that will be coming back to you as well. We have item D, ordinance number 621H, an ordinance granting a special use to allow in-vehicle sales or service of an automatic car wash and indoor commercial entertainment, video gaming within the general business district located at 1125 North State Street. You may remember that has had a sign on it that there's going to be a car wash coming for years, and so that's that. That will be back in front of you. We have in front of you item E, ordinance 622H as a first reading as well, that being the budget ordinance, the City of Belvedere, and that will be back. We have for first reading ordinance 623H, that being an ordinance amending Article 8 of the Chapter 26 of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code relating to mobile food vehicles, and that will be back as well for a second reading. We have for a first reading an ordinance amending Section 98-12A3 regarding sidewalk cafes in the City of Belvedere, Municipal Code. That as well, we had previously discussed and will be back in front of you in for a second reading. And we have item H for first reading as well this evening, an ordinance amending Chapter 46, Fire Prevention and Protection of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code to add a new Article 3 regarding ambulance services in the city of Belvedere. And before you this evening, we have item I, resolution number 2023-5, a resolution directing the planning department to publish the zoning map of the city of Belvedere. And could I have that in the form of a motion? Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderwoman Prather. Any questions regarding that? The map, Exhibit A, is attached, same map as that we had seen at our last meeting, at the committee meeting. If there are any questions, I'll try and answer them. Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor then to approve Resolution 2023-5, that being a resolution directing the planning department to publish the zoning map of the city of Belvedere. All those in favor will, when their name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Mahal,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And then under item J, Resolution 2023-11, that being a resolution establishing ambulance billing policies for the city of Belvedere. And I know Chief Shadle and I and the city attorney had discussion regarding that, but could I get a motion first on the floor to approve that? Motion by Alderman Porter, second by Alderman Stevens. Before we ask any questions, I guess, Chief Shadle, did you have any comments you would like to make?
I do have a brief comment. Alderman Porter, you had asked about financial hardships in the process if that were to occur, if someone gets a bill and they're unable to pay the bill. There's two situations that are within your discretion. I talked to the billing agency, and they've made recommendations based on what most departments are doing. So the very first part of that is, say they have a balance and they'd like to pay it, but they just can't pay it all today. So she said that oftentimes you set up a policy that allows payments to be paid over time determined by council. And then as long as they're paying as agreed, you know, they can pay, they agree, and they just can't do it all today. And the most common is 12 months. She advised against going longer than 12 months, but they have no problems with record keeping for 12 months. So that's what Attorney Drella had drafted in the resolution, that they, if so requested, and it would say that on their statement, or if they called and said, hey, can I do this? And they would say, yeah. And at the point where 2 payments were missed, then it would proceed into the next step at that point. So say they called the billing company and they said, how do I apply for financial assistance? She said some departments rely on the fire chiefs to receive hardship letters. What she actually recommended, and what most departments are doing, is to actually mirror the award that is given when they request financial assistance at the hospital. So when they're transported and treated at a hospital, obviously those bills are much larger, and every single hospital has on their front page of their website financial assistance. If you need financial assistance, apply here. And each hospital has whole departments that make these determinations. And the nice thing about that is that the hospitals have the staff to do that. It's fair, it's vetted, it's the same for everybody. And then she said, all we have to do is agree to honor whatever discount or waiver or 100% waiver that they get from the hospital. So all they would need to do then is take that award letter and then mail it to the billing company, email it, scan it, send it to them. And that way we're not making decisions on, you know, we did it this way today and 6 months from now we do it a different way and someone else says, hey, that's not fair. She said that that's the recommended way to do that, is just to honor whatever award is granted by the hospital. I took a little bit of time to see how hard it was to find that and see what those applications look like. And I checked the 4 hospitals that we'd be transporting to, and I was able to find them very quickly and then click on a link for the application. So it wasn't difficult to find. If someone called the station, I'd be more than happy to help them show where that would be there. They can also put guidance, or we can instruct the billing agency to give them guidance on how to do that. So if someone does have a financial hardship, they would apply through the hospital for not only their hospital bill, and then we would just mirror that. And that is part 3 of the resolution. So the first part just says that we'll bill according to best practices as allowed by law, because each type of insurance has a different way that they can be handled. Medicare and Medicaid, you can't balance bill. They set their reimbursement, and then if you owe per Medicare 20% for that, then it's 20% of the $500, not our bill. For Medicaid, Medicaid pays 100%, and you can't balance bill, so you kind of get what you get. The Medicaid is the situation where there is federal funding through the GEMT program, that there is some reimbursement, and on average, that's about $1,000 per Medicaid transport. And so then the city would then just write off the rest of that. And then the last part of part 1 of the resolution just says that for residents, say your insurance, you have a private insurance, and say your bill's $2,400, and your insurance says, well, reasonable customary is $1,800, or this private insurance policy says $1,500 is the cap that will pay for that, just as you guys discussed last time and voted on, that residents would not be billed that difference. And then when allowed by law, if you are a non-resident, you would be billed that balance, and that's a term commonly called balance billing, and that's something that we saw almost across the board for non-residents. It's not unusual because they're not subsidizing the losses. Obviously, the rates are what they are, and providing the service is very expensive, and obviously not only are we not making money on that, but the taxpayers are subsidizing a large portion of that. So for residents, any balance bills be automatically written off, and then for non-residents, they would be billed. And then for anybody, if they said, well, I can't pay today, but okay, we can do the 12 months. Again, that's under your direction, but what is written in the resolution is what was recommended by AMB, the billing company that we chose. And then if, again, they say resident or non-resident, I can't pay that, how do I apply for financial assistance? Then I would direct them, or the billing company would direct them back to the hospital. And then if they produce that award letter, we would honor that. And so that is the 3 sections of the resolution. That's all I have. I don't know, Attorney Drell, if you had anything additional. It doesn't look like it. Thank you, sir. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you. So for clarification, residents, whatever insurance you have, if you're on Medicaid, Medicaid's gonna pay your bill and you're not gonna get a bill. If you're on Medicare, Medicare's gonna pay your bill. If you have supplemental Medicare, that's gonna pick up maybe a little bit more than Medicare, but that Medicare patient's not gonna get a bill. If you have private insurance,
Real quick before you change that topic, because so Medicare and Medicaid cannot be billed differently versus resident versus non-resident. So Medicare and Medicaid, they are what they are. So a Medicaid patient wouldn't get a bill from the city. Now a Medicare patient, Medicare covers 80%, and then 20% is what's called coinsurance. So the 20% is their responsibility. However, if you're a Medicare, it's not 20% of what we build, it's 20% of what they said the reimbursement is. So say the reimbursement on average is $500, the 20% of the $500 would be $100. The patient would still owe that $100. So a Medicare patient would, unless they have a supplemental insurance like you said, get a bill from the city.
okay. And then, non-residents, can you clarify that? Is that county people? Is that just like out-of-towners? There's a car accident and somebody's that lives in Marengo, or, out of state, or what is a resident, just within the city?
So we'd have to first see if we could truly define someone within the city limits, and I think we'd be able to through GIS. They would be able to provide our billing agency a list of addresses that are literally within the city. So because obviously a lot of the county addresses are Belvedere, Illinois, so if we can't do that, that's yet to be determined. Unless Attorney Drella, you know more about that.
As drafted, you have to reside in the city to receive that benefit. And yes, we can provide whatever they need through our GIS databases layers to integrate with their billing system.
And then I think the last thing that I wanted to ask you was, if we do have to send stuff to collection, how much does it cost to employ a collection agency to do that billing for us?
That's something we have to come back to you on in the future. These issues we gotta get done now so that we're ready to go forward and start billing on May 1. The collection, you've got a couple of years actually, but we want to get it done sometime, hopefully before August. They usually do it on a commission form of payment, and we probably have to request proposals from several of them and see what they come in at.
Chief, do you have a typical fee schedule for that? Do you know? Anybody that you've talked with?
I did ask the billing agency that, and again, it's unrelated to these tonight, but you guys obviously want to know if we have unpaid bills, it's probably in your best interest to try and find some resolution for that. And the average fee charged by collection agencies is 28%, but that's 28% of what they receive. So obviously, though, that's just an estimate, and what we'd have before you, once we get to that, is we'd have to sign an agreement with the collection agency, just like we did with the billing agency. So you would see in front of you, I would get, these are our options, and these are what they are, and that would be your decision at a future date.
So, if you just did a BLS and you had Medicaid, they would pay the $500 and that would be it. Medicare, you might get a $100 bill from that if you had supplemental or if you didn't have supplemental. And then private insurance, the patient would be basically on the hook for whatever that private insurance doesn't cover if they're a non-resident, but residents, it ends with whatever their insurance covers.
True, it's actually extremely complicated. Attorney Drella and I had spent quite a bit of time to get it straight in our heads, because he would understand it, and then I'd be like, what about this situation? And then it went back and forth, but it's actually...
He confused the heck out of me. He had my head
I'm just
spinning.
trying to understand, like, $1,900, so some people are gonna pay $1,900, others aren't gonna pay anything, others are gonna pay $100.
So let's look at in-city person to start with. In-city person, private insurance, their insurance is gonna pay X percent of it. There's usually a co-pay, as well as, we kept changing the term, but co-insurance that would go with it. So your in-city resident would have their co-pay that they'd have to pay and a co-insurance. So for example, on the city's Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, there's maybe a 10% co-insurance. So they'd have to pay 10% of the bill that way. The remainder would be written off if you're within the city. If you lived outside the city, you pay the co-pay, the co-insurance, plus whatever amount is not covered by the insurance company.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Chief.
Alderwoman Freeman, I did prepare a simple example of a situation with that are pretty close to what you'd actually see. So say someone had an ALS, and once the mileage charges were added, it was $2,400. And so say it was January 1st, the patient didn't have any deductible, and they had insurance similar to mine. I have a $250 deductible, so that first $250 would be my responsibility. Beyond that $250, I would be responsible for any co-insurance, which my co-insurance is 10%. So after the $2,400, say the plan says $1,800 is the allowable amount. It says, okay, for this service, insurance is going to cover $1,800. So I would pay $250. My co-insurance would be $155, and then it would stop there if I was a resident. So I'd have to pay my deductible, I'd have to pay my co-insurance, and then the difference between the $2,400 charge and the $1,800 $2,400 allowed amount or reasonable and customary. Every insurance will call it something different, but there was a $600 difference in that example between what we billed was $2,400. The insurance says that it's a $1,800, should be an $1,800 charge. If you're a resident, that $1,800 becomes the new number, and that's what you pay your deductible and co-insurance against. The city writes off that $600. If you're a non-resident, their insurance would do those same things. They would owe personally those same amounts, but there'd be that $600 difference that the insurance said, you know what, this is your benefit for this service. It's capped off here, and then that resident would still be responsible for that $600. That $600 difference between what we charged and what the insurance said was reasonable, that's called the balance, and that's what the term balance billing is. So there is currently new legislation called the No Surprise Act, where you cannot balance bill if you're out of network for emergency services, but that only applies to hospital, inpatient, and air ambulance. Ground ambulance was specifically exempted from that. That's why when the resolution was drafted, it said in accordance with law, because if that law ever changed and to include ground ambulances, we would no longer balance bill because it wouldn't be allowed by law. But that was a true example of a balance bill with reasonable numbers forecasted with insurance if you have insurance similar to my plan.
Okay, thank you. Do you know, is OSF still going to provide the Lifeline helicopter?
I am not 100% sure, but I believe that is no longer in Rockford and it's in Peoria now. So the simple answer for Belvedere is I don't believe so. I believe I just got an email a couple of days back from Chief Kuntzen that we're going to be requesting the I should know the name of it, but I believe it's the Mercy React. Yeah, the React helicopters moved to #1 on the call list in dispatch because the other ones, OSF's helicopters, no longer stationed in Rockford.
So how does that get paid for?
It would be similar to this, except it would be charged by that provider. So whoever provides the service, whoever's available at dispatch, the closest resource that's available is called, that provides to that area. So that would be billed to that person's insurance company, and it would depend on that situation.
Thank you. That's all the question I had. Thank you.
Okay, and with the resident versus non-resident, I think it's important, we all know that there's an investment made by taxpayers that live within Belvedere proper. This is an investment they've had to make because of our loss of Lifeline, the ambulance, and it appears, I think you're right, Chief, I think the helicopter has been stationed that was what I was told, to Peoria. So I don't think that will be available here any longer. So, but the bottom line is the residents are, we have to provide them with a service. They have a vested interest in it. And there's the definition of resident, non-resident with the associated payments. So, any other questions? Any other comments? All right, thank you, Chief. We have Resolution 2023-11, that resolution establishing ambulance billing policies for the city of Belvedere, Illinois, as per our discussion. And we have a motion to approve. If there's no other further discussion, all those in favor, when their name is called, will answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Burton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And we have motions forwarded from Committee of the Whole, Building, Planning, Zoning, and Public Works of March 13th, 2023. With motions out of Finance and Personnel, Chairman Brereton.
Thank you, Mayor. A, motion to establish a Section 125 FSA plan allowing expenditures for medical benefits, dental benefits, vision benefits, healthcare flexible spending accounts, and dependent care, and to authorize the mayor to execute the envisioned new group setup and any other documents in conformance with the March 9th, 2023 memo.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Brereton. Is that motion out of committee? Is there any discussion, any questions regarding that motion on the floor? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, well, when their name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And moving to motions out of public safety, Chairman Stevens.
Motion, let me see, B, motion for ongoing authorization for the fire chief to sign the standard acquired structure training agreement as necessary.
Okay. That being motion out of committee, is there any questions, any comments regarding the motion on the floor? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, well, when their name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Stevens. And we have motions of building. Chairwoman Prather.
Motion to waive the anticipated permit fees of $23,963.75 for the Rock Valley College Advanced Technology Center, ATC, Phase 2 projects.
Okay, thank you. We have that motion out of
Mr.
committee.
Mayor, I
Is
need
any-
to recuse myself from this one for
Okay.
any discussion or votes.
All right, for the record, Alderman Porter is leaving council chambers until this vote is passed. Thank you, Alderman Porter. To avoid any potential conflicts of interest or anything that looks like it. Okay, so we have motion to waive the fees out of committee. Is there any other questions, any comments regarding that? Alderwoman Freeman and Alderman Stevens.
So, I believe Rock Valley already collects taxes from us. And can anybody remind me what types of breaks they already got when they moved into the Shopko building?
When they moved into it, I believe all their building fees were waived, it's my understanding. And then in regards to this improvement, as I had mentioned before, they already qualify for 50% reduction in those fees, and that equals the same amount that you have here tonight.
So they're initially trying to pay zero fees on building. I think that, we already pay them taxes. We get maybe a slight discount on tuition, but that's it. And I don't see any reason why they can't come up with $24,000 for this. I mean, is their truck driving school going to be driving around on our roads and stuff or is this just for doing the tests?
It's my understanding it's the test, and there's a course on the site, but maybe I'm wrong.
They are designing a truck driving course on the parking lot. They're installing a heavy equipment operations simulator that might be able to do simulated driving for 18-wheelers. I think that was part of the plan. Whether or not they'll be on city streets, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
As I understand it, they won't, but that doesn't mean that that's a fact. So, any other comments, any questions regarding the motion on the floor? Okay. Hearing none, we have the motion on the floor then. All those in favor of to waive the anticipated permit fees as noted by Chairwoman Prather in her motion please say aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Stevens,
No.
Berta,
No.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Nay.
Freeman. No. McGee,
Nay.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Prather,
Yay.
Snow,
Aye.
3 in favor.
Is that right? Is it 3?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, that motion failed. Thank you, Alderman Porter. I almost forgot you again this time. Thank you. All right, we have nothing further on the agenda. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Motion by Alderwoman Frank, second by Alderman McGee. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, everybody. For the record, we adjourned at 8:31, I'm sorry, 8:31 PM. Thank you.